We put tens of thousands of kilometres on a set of these eBay adjustable preload fork caps, riding harsh off-road terrain, hitting jumps, going bush bashing, and generally giving them a thrashing that would make Jenna Jamison blush. With the aim of giving these cheap caps the ultimate test, put your mind at rest to answer the question: is it worth throwing that $40 or $50 odd at these dodgy adjustable preload caps on eBay, when the similar products exist to achieve the same job, are available at upwards of 4 to 5 times the price? Surely these cheap, dodgy Chinese caps aren't up to the job. At least that's what I was thinking going in. I was originally worried about the overall build quality of these caps. Was the main shaft going to break, or the big washer going to get domed out, or this little clip likely to snap and send parts jangling into the fork? I'm happy to report that none of these original worries have presented, and I can tell you that yes, these preload adjustable fork caps are the real deal, and present one of those rare instances when you can spend a lot less money on a product with practically little to no trade-off. But that said, there is a potential problem with these caps, one that we spent the time to nut out the easiest fix for. Stick around and I'll share the details of this fix with you after we take a quick look at why an adjustable preload fork cap may be beneficial to you in the first place. The very basic conventional fork on the DR650 has limited options for setup. Whether or not you have already installed emulators or the correct spring rate for yourself, one very easy mod that we do have available to us is setting the fork preload. Ah, I hear you say, but I can chop an extra spacer length and call it a day. This is true. I'm not suggesting everyone needs these adjustable caps, but considering the aforementioned limited setup options on the DR650, the fact that a balanced bike can make for a much more enjoyable ride, and that small changes in this area can equal big differences, this is where having easily adjustable preload comes into its own, and why these caps will always have a place on my bike. Depending on other factors like bike setup, body type, or intended usage, the typical suggested preload spacer of approximately flush with the top of the fork could be around 10mm out from the ideal setting. This is a lot to the discerning rider, when 1 or 2mm can make all the difference in comfort and safety. Instead of removing the stock cap multiple times trying to cut that preload spacer just right, with this cap you can get the base setting once, then make minute adjustments at the twist of the shaft, getting your bike comfortable for cornering, hitting ruts, sand riding, or load changes like luggage or a full long-range tank. Instead of having to wait till I get back home and then change the preload, I can just pull over, give it a couple of tweaks on either side, just so you can actually be comfortable riding today instead of having to deal with it. So that's going to be able to let me unweight the front a little bit. I don't always feel like I have to sit on the rear of the seat when I'm riding around. I can stay a bit more neutral now, hopefully. Or if I can't, I can just pull over, give it a couple of clicks again. During the course of a ride, we'd find that the setting of the bolt would work its way out, unscrewing and in effect winding off the preload setting, which would make the bike steer differently, let the front dig in, etc. It seems not all these caps exhibit the same problem, but it's not an isolated issue either. So what's the fix to eradicate this potential problem? After trying a few different cures, including thread tape and looking into this suggestion by the Gutsy Ninja, where they source and replace an O-ring, we have found the easiest fix to be as simple as adding Loctite on the shaft threads. This entails a simple procedure of removing the clip and the passivated washer and screwing the shaft all the way out, being mindful of the O-ring, and squeezing on a generous helping of blue Loctite. A little tip for installation is to set the shaft at around the first or the second line. Then build the internal spacers up to touch the preload cap's passivated washer at the point where the bottom of the cap is at the top of the fork leg, right about here. This gives a good base setting with plenty of adjustment to refine in either direction. Now head out for a shred knowing your comfort and cornering joy are only a couple of twists of an 8mm spanner away. And be sure to check out this video for some other tips on how to get more enjoyment out of your next adventure.